The CEO of this company, who's receiving billions and billions of tax dollars, can damn well spend an hour or two coming before this committee to answer questions.
Yup.
And he damn well better come before this committee.
This committee needs to get out there. Honestly, what's happening here is truly insane. The Liberals have been filibustering the Ethics Committee for over 16 hours now.
Nobody but Mr. Emblow coming before this committee on the issue of the finance minister's ethics screen. I'm going to go to Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper, go ahead, please. On this of the point of order, Monsieur Seri, go ahead.
Oui, juste
Unreal.
Firstly, thank you for that latitude. Thank you for that reminder. But in 116.2a, unless the committee adopted a time limit, or the House of Commons did, the chair of a committee, in this case you, cannot put an end to the debate as long as there are members who still wish to speak. A decision on the chair cannot be given to the committee. That was my first point. Secondly, you talked about putting an end to the discussion if it's not relevant. I think that you have a lot of experience. I appreciate your work.
Just wasting time.
Would this not give the chair the ability to say whose comments are relevant or repetitive? This is a friendly reminder that I want to make while thanking you. I wanted to come back to that Standing Order 116.2a. I would like for us to work collaboratively as we always have. Thank you.
Questions. Mr. Seri, the chair has no authority to end the debate as long as there are still speakers on the list. I understand that. But as I said earlier, the specific reference in the book and procedures of committee that I was referring to refers to the chair's ability on the issues of repetition and relevance that he does or she does have the discretion to move on to the next speaker, right? Now, if in that case I exercise that authority, every member is well within their right to add their name back to the list. But if it's irrelevant and non-topical and repetitive, then I can exercise that authority again. I generally, as I said, I give a lot of latitude. You guys know that because you've been with this committee for a year, whether it's, as I said earlier, whether it's with studies, whether it's on this issue, I do that. But we are getting into 16 hours, in my opinion, of repetition and relevance on what was first an agreement among the parties to remove something, and yet the debate continued. And now we are on the removal of the executives of Alto and including just himself, Mr. Emblow, to appear before the committee. And so I happen to think that we can move on and deal with this, but I have no authority as long as there's members that are still on the list. But I do have authority under the issue of relevance and repetition, and I will exercise that authority. So with that being said, I've got Mr. Seri's name added again behind Mr. Theriault. So Mr. Cooper, you are charged with commencing the 16th hour of this issue being debated, and I'm going to go to you now, sir.
Thank you.
On the sub-amendment.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And on the sub-amendment, I have listened carefully to the arguments put forward by Liberal MPs opposite, including Mr. Seri, who last spoke. And I want to respond to some of the arguments that he put forward in terms of his position that for some reason the CEO of Alto, Mr. Emblow, is not a relevant witness. But I do want to say that Mr. Seri concluded his comments by suggesting that somehow hearing from the CEO of Alto, demanding the CEO of Alto come before this committee, and the process to get answers that we are dealing with this motion is somehow undermining the trust of Canadians. I'll tell Mr. Seri what is undermining the trust of Canadians, and that is when a minister of the Crown, the Minister of Finance, has a hand in directing billions of taxpayer dollars to a company, Alto, in which his partner is a vice president. And I'll tell Mr. Seri what also is undermining the trust and confidence of Canadians, and that is this 16-hour spectacle that we have seen from members opposite, who have wasted time, who have filibustered.
Point of order, Chair. Can we come back to Mr. Hardy's
Here we go.
sub-amendment? That would be
Again.
Running interference yet again, wasting more time. You know, I saw this movie before in the last Parliament, at this committee, during the dying days of the Trudeau government, when the rot, and I mean the absolute rot of that government, had sunk in. And the more things that change, the more they stay the same. Because here we have a minister of the Crown caught in a conflict of interest.
Point of order.
Go ahead, Ms. Church, on your point of order.
Mr. Speaker, as my colleague across the way knows full well, the Ethics Commissioner has said exactly the opposite. At least let's debate the facts.
Mr. Cooper, go ahead.
If Ms. Church wants to talk about facts, let me tell her a few facts about the Ethics Commissioner. First of all, he hasn't responded to Mr. Barrett's letter. There are some very specific points that were raised, some specific allegations, specific references to sections of the Conflict of Interest Act. There has been no response from the Ethics Commissioner. And yet, members opposite have suggested that. In fact, I think Mr. Seri, in his comments, he opened by saying that Mr. Barrett had done such a great job at doing his due diligence, sending a letter to the Ethics Commissioner, and that the Ethics Commissioner has responded. Well, no, Mr. Seri, the Ethics Commissioner has not responded to Mr. Barrett. In fact, the Ethics Commissioner hasn't, to my knowledge, made a statement regarding what appears to be a conflict of interest involving the finance minister. What I saw was a statement quoted in a CTV news story by someone in the Ethics Commissioner's office. That is less than satisfactory in the face of the very serious issues and serious questions about the minister's involvement in handing out billions of dollars to Alto. And by the way, if everything is so clear and so obvious with the Ethics Commissioner, why is it that when the Minister of Finance has been asked to provide documentation, proof that everything is on the up and up, he can't do that? He can't do that, and won't do that, and won't answer questions, and is in hiding. Now, with respect to some of the arguments, if you could call them arguments, put forward by Mr. Seri as to why the CEO of Alto shouldn't appear, he said, first of all, that we don't need to hear from the CEO of Alto because the Ethics Commissioner is coming to committee. Now, that is a circular argument. Of course the Ethics Commissioner is coming to committee. We need to hear from the Ethics Commissioner. No one is debating that. That doesn't provide any answer as to whether we need to also hear from the CEO of Alto. Mr. Seri then went on to say that the CEO of Alto is a CEO involved in a high-speed rail project, and that he couldn't provide any relevant information on matters of ethics. In fact, Mr. Seri said he had no idea what questions he could possibly pose to the CEO of Alto. Well, I mean, give me a break. Respectfully, Mr. Chair, give me a break. The CEO, we're not asking the CEO of Alto to come as some sort of expert on ethics. We're not asking him to come before this committee to provide his interpretation of various sections of the Conflict of Interest Act. But Mr. Seri characterized him as coming in that capacity to speak on matters of ethics. I mean, what is he talking about? What planet is he living on? What planet are those members living on? That's not why we want to hear from the CEO of Alto. I want to hear from the CEO of Alto for a few reasons. The first is that the Minister of Finance has declared a conflict in respect of Alto, and quite appropriately so, given that his partner is a vice president. The Minister of Finance claimed that he set up an ethics screen, that he acted proactively. But yet, for a minister who set up an ethics screen, who was being so proactive, it was all very secret. No one had heard of this ethics screen. He never spoke about this ethics screen. He never spoke about this conflict until he got caught. And then all of a sudden, there was an ethics screen. And then he said he acted proactively.
Monsieur le Président, s'il vous plaît. Il n'y a personne qui a pris un...
Point of order, Chair. I'm asking Mr. Cooper to remove his remarks. Mr. Cooper,
16 hours of this.
again, with all due respect, and Chair, I would like to ask him to come back on those remarks. There are people who are listening to us. We want to give information that is true and information that was given by the Commissioner.
Thank you for that intervention, Mr. Seri. I'm listening intently to Mr. Cooper, and I find that he's speaking specifically to the sub-amendment and what questions he actually wants to ask Mr. Imblo, and I find this very relevant to this discussion, and I'm going to ask him to continue. Go ahead, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So then the finance minister says, oh, well, there's this ethics screen that no one had heard about before. And then the minister's spokesman said, this is a quote from a National Post article dated April 6, 2026. Quote, the minister fully respects the screen, meaning he is neither implicated in nor party to any discussions, decisions, or votes related to Alto. Now, the problem with that statement from the minister's spokesperson is that not one part of that, other than that there is an ethics screen in place, is accurate. The minister has repeatedly involved himself on matters pertaining to handing billions of dollars to Alto. He has introduced legislation. He has spoken to and defended that legislation. He has voted on that legislation. He included it in the budget. He even incorporated into the budget bill legislation, the High-Speed Rail Network Act, that was specific to Alto, that was to advance the Alto project. The minister came before the Senate Finance Committee and when he was challenged by Senator Carignan about the Alto project, bragged about how he personally delivered the goods in relation to the Alto high-speed rail project, a company, of course, which his partner is a VP of, and of course, a company that he admits he has a conflict with in light of his partner's position at Alto. And so, contrary to his assertion, or his spokesperson's assertion, he did have discussions, he did involve himself in decisions, and he did involve himself in votes related to Alto, and based upon the statement of his spokesperson, respecting the screen means you don't have discussions, you don't have decisions, and you don't have votes related to Alto, but he did. And therefore, by the words of his spokesperson, violated the ethics screen that supposedly was in place, but no one had ever heard about until he got caught. Now, Mr. Chair,
Monsieur le Président, encore une fois.
Point of order. The Minister of Finance was never caught. Let's not share falsehoods. I would reiterate, Chair, through you, we need to speak with facts for those who are listening to us.
Parce qu'on l'a sur un papier.
It's not because you have it on paper that it's true. It's not because it's on X. It's not because there's a video that it is a fact. The facts are what were said by the Commissioner.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think we're trying to get to the facts here, Mr. Sarri. So, Mr. Cooper, on the sub-amendment, I would appreciate Mr. Imblow's presence as proposed in the amendment or the sub-amendment that you return to that.
Well,
please.
this is what I'm getting to. What I just said goes to the very heart of why we need to hear from Mr. Emblow. But Mr. Sarri says something about getting back to the facts. Well, I just quoted the minister's spokesperson. Is he saying that the minister's spokesperson didn't say that with respect to the ethics screen? Is that what he's saying? Because I'm just quoting him. So it's, I don't know what he's talking about, other than I guess he just decided he wants to delay things further, run interference yet again, all part of the game, all part of a charade, all to cover for the minister. That's what this is about. That's what the Liberals are doing over there. They have no interest in getting answers, none whatsoever. Now, going to the sub-amendment.
Point of order, Chair.
Here we go.
We're not here to defend anyone. I said it many times.
Oh, come on.
Again, I respected people across the room. I'm not here to defend anyone. I'm here to defend ethics. Again, he quoted the spokesperson, yes, but he interpreted them in his way and says that he was caught in the act, even though that is false. I'm not saying he's off topic, Chair. What I'm saying is that he's sharing falsehoods.
Merci pour ça, Monsieur Sarri.
Thank you, Mr. Sarri.
Sometimes, points of orders are not necessarily because you don't like what somebody's saying. I get that. It has to be relevant to the issue, but I am going to ask Mr. Cooper to deal with the sub-amendment. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Chair, going back to the ethics screen and the statement of the minister's spokesperson, and then what we know to be the minister's actions, including his involvement in various discussions and decisions, speaks to the need to hear from the CEO of Alto. We need to know what discussions, if any, the minister had with the CEO of Alto, because that does go to the heart of whether there was a conflict, or if there wasn't a technical conflict at best, I think there are ethical questions at play in terms of the appropriateness of the Minister of Finance being involved in such discussions around advancing billions of dollars to the Alto project, given the role of his spouse, because at the end of the day, when billions of tax dollars are at stake, this is a $90 billion project after all,
It's huge.
Canadians deserve
Point d'ordre,
to
Monsieur
know.
le Président, qu'on revient sur le
Well, I
sous-amendement.
mean,
Point of order, we need to come back to the sub-amendment.
Mr. Sarre, okay, I'm going to be frank here. Mr. Cooper is talking about what he believes to be very relevant and specific questions that need to be asked of Mr. Imblo. He's mentioned that several times. And if he wasn't on that topic, I would tell him. I'm listening intently to what he's saying, and there are specific questions related to this that he feels that he needs to ask Mr. Imblo. The sub-amendment that we're dealing with is having Mr. Imblo come to committee and answer those questions. And Mr. Cooper, in my opinion, is very topical right now on that sub-amendment. So continue, Mr. Cooper, and I would appreciate, unless it's an egregious issue that Mr. Cooper is talking about, I would appreciate no further interruptions.
yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Cooper.
Well, thank you. And I'm to your point, I'm speaking very specifically to the amendment and specifically why we need to hear from him to understand exactly what discussions the minister had, if any, relating to money that was directed towards Alto to advance the high-speed rail project, because, as I said before Mr. Seri ran interference yet again, is that when billions and billions of tax dollars are at stake, Canadians deserve to know that personal relationships, such as having a partner serve as VP at the company that is benefiting from those billions of dollars, are not influencing those decisions.
Yep.
And when it comes to the CEO of Alto, I mean, let's be clear what the government and what the finance minister, as he delivered the goods, as he bragged about doing, delivered for Alto. $597 million for the 2025-26 pre-construction works, such as design, environmental work, and consultations. Alto was also allocated $3.9 billion over the next 6 years for the project's co-development phase, and $125 million over the next few years for the project to get over various hurdles related to approvals and coordination. The notion that the CEO of Alto was completely in the dark, had no idea, had no role, had no discussions, no involvement with billions of dollars coming to Alto is inconceivable. And it speaks to why we need to hear from him, why he's a relevant witness. And the other argument that was put forward, I don't think by Mr. Seri, but by Ms. Church, as to why we shouldn't hear from him, despite what I would submit are very good reasons to hear from him, is that because he's the CEO of Alto and he's so busy getting a high-speed rail project built at speed, so to speak, as Ms. Church put it, that it would be a big waste of his time. Well, I mean, really? We have a potential conflict of interest, at best, serious questions about the minister's judgment in his involvement in this matter, and a CEO of a taxpayer-funded company, a $90 billion project paid for by taxpayers that he's too busy to come before this committee and answer questions? Well, I'll tell you, the CEO of this company who's receiving billions and billions of tax dollars can damn well spend an hour or two coming before this committee to answer questions.
Yup.
And he damn well better come before this committee because we need to hear from him. And so I would just say, it being hour 16, that the Liberals should, if there's nothing to see, if everything was above board, if the minister is in the clear, then what better way? What better way to hear from the ethics commissioner, to hear from the minister, and to hear from the CEO, who is obviously very much involved in the billions of dollars that Alto is receiving from this Liberal government. So with that, I will leave it there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.